Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Hey tea sippers, I hope everybody's doing good today. So I wanted to come on here and talk about this viral story. It's been brewing over the past week and a half. So if you guys do not know, it all started around October 13th. Marc Lamont Hill, he has been added to Joe Budden's podcast. I don't watch their podcast on a regular basis, but I have been noticing that there have been viral clips and Marc Lamont Hill was added to it. So I thought that was very interesting. And I noticed that Melissa Ford is gone. So okay, maybe y'all can explain to me in the comments where she went. But so what ended up happening is basically there's another guy on the show called QueenzFlip. And he's known for reacting to like viral hip hop videos, and he's more like a social media personality. So him and Marc Lamont Hill are going back and forth, and basically Marc Lamont Hill bucks up and they are almost going to come to blows. So this ends up sparking an intellectual debate online about intellectual black men versus, I guess, just your average black man. And people were saying that Marc Lamont Hill shouldn't be on the show's beneath him, and things like that. So let's go ahead and watch the initial video that went viral that sparked this entire debate to where we're at today. So let's go ahead and check it out right now.
Because people will hear that and think I do that.
Well, I don't know if you do it, but I
have any reason to think I do that?
I don't know.
Do you have any reason to think I do that? Is what I said.
Because you just said that. You said you cracking a joke with Joe. Like, oh,
But you cracking a joke with what?
No, listen what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Listen what I'm trying to tell you.
I think the people need to see this show.
Hey, you got.
And guess what? It's going out.
It's going out.
It's going out.
What we did last week.
Just want to care about what people shouldn't see, then shut up.
Then don't say
this
it. Right.
Is going out.
I'm comfortable with everything I'm saying.
Okay. This is going right out.
I love you, Flip.
I love you too.
FedEx too.
But no, I don't backbite. Hey, as a matter of fact, next to it,
UPS, here's the tracking link.
As a matter of fact, you know I don't. Because whatever you've ever told me, you know ain't never come out. And whatever ever happened that I witnessed to, I ain't never said shit about.
Yeah,
like even when I
kept your secrets, nigga.
I'm not going to say it because then I say
yeah, we kept your secrets.
That's all I'm going to say.
What secrets?
And can't nobody up here say nothing different.
What secrets?
We kept your secrets, boy.
What secrets?
We know your secrets.
I'll tell you off air. I'm not even going to allude to it on
that's
I don't need that thing.
See, this is loyal.
That's not loyal.
Not that shit you do. This lawyer ain't gonna blow you up in front of millions, nigga.
Please, you talking about?
No, and to be clear for the ones, it ain't nothing personal. It ain't about personal life. I don't want to make it sound like that because I want people to think.
Oh, you talking about anything that I tell you, niggas? Anything that happened, I can talk about.
And it's for you to talk about.
So anything that
I'm saying, I won't.
So if you allude to it, because you say a lot of tricky words.
No, I don't. I say regular words that's tricky to you.
Tricky words, funny as shit.
That's another thing you do, right? Like, my nigga, you the busiest man in the world. You spend 1,000 hours trying to communicate and speak to people to be accepted by people that this community, that this nigga built through the community. I don't need to do that.
That's our job.
I believe in myself.
That's our job.
Our job is to come up here and work and show and put our best foot forward.
And that's what I do.
That's our job. And plus, do other shit behind the scenes.
You mean like promote the show?
To try to win favor. You try to win favors.
You mean like favors?
What way, though?
You try to win favors.
All right, you're right.
To me, you try to win favors.
With the fans?
Even if you do win favors,
they're the fans. They're our audience, Flip.
Even if you do win favors, you try to point out everything else that nobody do. That's sucker shit to me.
When do I do that?
You try to point out.
Don't call me a sucker no more. Don't call me a sucker no more. Don't call me a sucker no more. Don't call me a sucker no more.
That's sucker shit.
Don't call me a sucker no more.
That's sucker shit. I'm not calling you. I'm saying that's sucker shit. I can take that. I'm not calling you. I'm saying that's sucker shit. You're not a sucker, but that's
and I'm telling you, you say that sucker shit, I take it like you saying it to me. So I'm saying,
what I'm saying.
All right, let's do this. That's sucker shit. So I'm saying,
you're not a sucker, but I said the behavior.
Then we good. Shit to me. Then we good. Then we good. Now let's get back to the show.
But that's why you saying that?
Because when you say that sucker shit, that I take that as disrespectful. And I take that as to me. To me. So I'm trying to tell you.
But it's a lot of shit you say to niggas that we take disrespectful before.
There's a lot of shit you say that I take disrespectful. Nigga, I'm not gonna talk about it on air because I'm not you.
I'm afraid.
So at the end of the day, I'm not you. This is what you do. And then I'm
all right.
I'm scared.
Imani, I'm not potting. I know. Nigga,
but we have to.
Nigga, don't fucking say it. What the fuck is you doing? Are we talking?
Y'all are making
we can pot.
Marc.
Let's talk outside.
Marc and Flip.
No, fuck that.
Mark and Flip. It's not fucked up.
Every time you get mad, you talk to niggas like they pussy and they not. I didn't call you pussy. No, you called me a fucking sucker. That's I said,
Stop, Mark.
I'm not trying Let's just talk outside.
We can't talk outside.
They can talk outside.
No, y'all can talk outside. No, y'all
I'm talking outside.
not outside. You're not in this hallway. Not in this hallway, you're not. Yeah, y'all take that shit up to a project block or somewhere. Yeah. What are y'all talking about?
Let's pod. That's what I said. This is all fucking dumb shit. If we pod, exactly. Let's pod.
Y'all.
Honey. So it got real. Okay, it got real. And let's not forget Marc Lamont Hill. Okay, he's from Philly. And if I got my best friend is from Philly. If y'all know anything, they do not play about the word sucker. That's like calling the dude a bitch. You know what I'm saying? So it's like he took that very, very personal. And that's why, different lingo for different, people from different parts of the city. And so he wasn't feeling that. So this caused a lot of debate, especially because QueenzFlip was saying, he's like, you're always trying to use big words. You're always trying to use tricky words. And Marc is like, no, I say regular words. It's just tricky to you. So this sparked a big intellectual debate. And you saw the hood side come out of Marc Lamont Hill. This really surprised a lot of people. Okay. So there's a podcast called the Native Land Podcast. Never heard of them. I have heard of Angela Rye. I know her from being on the Breakfast Club a few times with with Charlemagne the God and DJ Envy and Angela Yee. So we're going to go ahead and watch the Native Land Podcast. It's hosted by a woman named Tiffany Cross, Andrew Gilliam, Bakari Sellers, and Angela Rye. We're not going to listen to each individual's commentary, but I'm going to play a little bit of Andrew Gilliam, a little bit of Tiffany, and Angela Rye. I'm going to play probably all of her commentary because that's really who Joe Budden ends up responding to. So I want you guys to kind of have context. So we're going to go ahead and check it out right now. And as you guys see, the title is Joe Budden's Podcast and the Dumbing Down of America.
I'm happy that Marc showed both sides. That yes, I'm an intellectual, but don't get up in the studio, and I think it's important for people to see that, yes, you can still be an intellectual and demand your respect. That doesn't make you soft. I'm concerned, though, in our community, because when you look at the plain data, you can take my perspectives out of it. There seems to be an erosion. I don't consider myself a member of the Black intellectual class, but I do thrive in that space. I love to be around. Sometimes, Andrew, when you're talking, I forget I'm a host on the podcast. Like, I'm just listening to you because you're saying something so brilliant to me or something that I didn't know. I had no perspective, and I enjoy hearing that. I have curiosity. I'm not trying to be fake humble. Like, I don't consider myself an intellectual. I consider myself intellectually curious. I have questions. I see that getting dulled across peers and across the community. Social media, I think, is a big part of that. A study out of UC San Diego found that even low levels of social media use are associated with poorer cognitive outcomes, particularly among children. Just because you have a microphone, I don't always respect your opinion. This guy who's talking, I don't respect his opinion. Andrew, we talked. I'm not married. I don't have children. If I'm giving you advice on either, it's totally fine for you to say, what are you basing this on? Where did you get that information from? And I'm not going to be offended by you asking me that, because even if I might be right, you don't have to respect my opinion. I don't respect everybody's opinion on politics. You might be right on occasion. I don't respect your opinion. So I just think in this environment of these viral clips, I'm curious y'all take on all of this, because I don't want to make it just about Marc. Yeah. But Marc is there because people turn their back on him. Marc should not be on this podcast. He gets the opportunity to talk to people, but Marc should still be at CNN, if you ask my opinion. Marc should have had a contract. As soon as CNN said, we're letting you go, somebody should have snatched Marc up and said that. And I just think they put dumb people on TV sometimes just because you have more likes and followers, and they don't celebrate our intellectualism. So I leave it there. We'd love to hear y'all's thoughts.
That's right. Well, one, I hope we never get to a place of self-censoring. I think it's important for us to bring our full beliefs, our full selves to this podcast, because that's what our listeners, the people who ride with us, expect, is that we'll be as direct as we can. And I will be very honest. I've never listened to the Joe Budden podcast before. This was the first clip I've ever seen. of it is with Marc on it. And that probably distances me even greater from a lot of folks out there who probably, it's a number 5 or top 5 or top 10 for a reason. That means people are going there to subscribe. The reason why I think I value a voice like Marc's being able to cut through in a top 10, top 5 audience is that at least somebody gets an exposure to his perspective that may not have otherwise had it. But exactly what they're getting exposed to also matters. I don't know if that's the rhythm of it from day to day or whatever is broadcast week to week, whenever it shows. But I've got to believe that knowing Marc well enough, that on a regular basis, he's probably being able to enter into that conversation, that discussion, a higher level of discourse than what we saw exhibited there. Maybe he's entering into that conversation.
So now I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to Angela Rye's part here.
Sure that Black folks can read in a neighborhood that he loves in Philly, the same person that's creating Black jobs and providing opportunity for our folks doesn't want to show up that way for himself, for his family, for his kids, for anybody. And so what I really want to ask us to consider is how do we resolve conflict when things are heated without name calling, without attacking someone's intellect or lack thereof. I think that we can lovingly challenge people to rise up without calling them dumb or anti-intellectual. Sure, that is where we are, but is there another way to call people in? I don't think that Marc should be left holding the bag in this exchange. I take great issue with that podcast. And its treatment of Marc, and I was wondering when he was gonna snap. There's another clip that I don't know if you all saw, where Marc announces very vulnerably that he's lost almost all of his colleagues that were reporting in Gaza, and by lost I mean they are killed. They died. In their reporting and trying to be courageous for their people.
And then around the world, we're seeing violence everywhere, including Gaza, where I work for Al Jazeera. My colleagues, every colleague I have in Gaza has been murdered. Every single colleague I have in Gaza has been murdered. So we got a lot of work to do, a lot of stuff to pay attention to.
That's pretty good. All right, Young Thug dissed, I get scared every time he do that shit.
He doing so fast, so you gotta
everybody know in Gaza is like,
my colleague.
God damn, he doing it again. That nigga Marc, boy. Why you don't never support him when he start talking that shit? You support him very well, Pizza Hut.
He has my full support, but I also know that once he says something like that or we discuss something like that, then we're just like, okay, what's the fucking pivot? What's the pivot after we talk about every journalist on the Gaza Strip being murdered? Like, what's the pivot?
So Young Thug appeared on Little Baby's project.
Quite the project.
And sharing vulnerably, he's lost all his people. And Joe Budden's transition, not this other guy, I don't know everybody's name, but not this other guy. Joe Budden's transition is like, and Young Thug. Like, just no mention of like, are you okay? Yeah. How do you feel? Who was lost this week? How did they die? Just like nothing. So 2 tips point around curiosity. If you can't find curiosity, find sympathy. If you can't find sympathy, find empathy. If you can't find empathy, find compassion. Because if you don't, the person who is in a constant state of grief, at some point that grief turns to rage because there's not a safe container for it. So we say on this show, welcome home, and we mean that. Of course, Marc is welcome anytime. I don't know about the rest of them. But I will just say, I don't think that means that we should be foreclosed to having discussions that are tough or where we don't think people are our peers or we're on the same level. I'm not into that. But where I see folks who are constantly unwilling to have conversations that stretch or to have conversations where they at least can appreciate a different perspective, I don't know that I'm into that. So I just want Marc to know I'm praying for you, brother. You know that. And I want better for him. I think that he deserves to hold space with people who are at least more compassionate and more eager to learn from his perspective. And clearly, you could take a Negro out the hood, but you can't take the hood out the Negro. So you might not want to keep leaping at Marc. He might just snap and bust your ass next time. I don't know. I don't want him to do that. But I mean, it was getting Real Housewives to me.
Honey, all right. So y'all just heard what, the folks at the Native Land podcast had to say, including Angela Rye. So now we're going to go ahead and watch what the Joe Budden podcast had to say in response to all this. So yeah, it is causing a huge debate currently on social media.
What are we talking about?
It sounds like y'all want to talk about Angela Rye.
We're in hour 2.
Well, we're in hour 2, and we already just did what we just did coming off the break. So here we are, right back to it. Angela Rye, I totally accept your non-invite to your platform and would like to add on to it.
Wait, she disinvited you from her?
No. She said everybody up here wouldn't be welcome.
Who wants to go up there?
Oh, man, I can't go somewhere that I didn't want to go.
Well, see now.
I didn't even know they existed.
Why don't we tell the audience what happened?
Fuck.
Okay, good.
Tell him.
Yeah.
I thought y'all was going to do it.
Tell
I
him.
never heard Mark Lamont held speechless.
So,
he just made noises.
in the aftermath of my contretemps with Flip last week,
Yahoo?
there was
He's doing it now. He's doing it.
Yeah, he's doing tricky words.
Tricky words.
Tricky words.
There was a lot of media that came out, but one of the big pods that I saw respond to it,
Subjective.
and I just heard it this morning on the way in, was the Native Land podcast, which is a podcast with Andrew Gillum, former mayor of Tallahassee, Angela Rye, formerly of CNN Media Mogul.
Mark, if you're going to do it and give
Tiffany-
your friends a whole bunch of respect.
Tiffany
let me
Cross,
know.
and I gave y'all a chance to do it.
All right, yo, check this out. Check this out.
But you should
No, because he's being too respectful for me.
We gonna talk about that. He's supposed to. We gonna turn up.
Yeah, but I don't want to. They
Let him-
podcasts are so big and say they laugh.
Anyway, let me finish the thought. I'll just say this. They put a podcast out responding to what happened between Flip and me, and they offer different perspectives on it. I thought they were generally respectful, and I agree with a lot of what was said. Some of it I had a slightly different take on. But they were basically using this as a kind of launching pad to talk about a bigger issue, which they saw was a dumbing down of America. I think the episode was called the Joe Budden podcast and the dumbing down of America. And they were saying that the exchange between me and Flip is evidence of that. Now, as I said earlier in the show, I don't agree with that part of it.
It's just not in his head, so I think he does.
Yeah.
Well, that's where problem number one arises for me, and then I'll toss it back to Mark. You title it that, and then admittedly say, I don't look at that, because that's not in my ministry. See, and that's why I appreciate what Andrew had to say, because he said, one, I'm not familiar with this podcast. I don't watch the clips from this podcast. I assume this is not their frequency every week.
He did.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. That's why you need niggas with brains around. Thank you. That indeed is not our frequency every week. He went on to say, I also trust Marc and his ability to gauge where he should and shouldn't be, who he should connect with and who he shouldn't, to kind of filter out where he's safe at. So I took offense to the sentiment. I took offense to a few sentiments, but one is that I don't love Marc down. I take offense to that. I don't know how much I want to go into loving Marc down. Fuck Marc.
No, it's
Do you think?
it's a bunch of things. I think that the young lady Tiffany, so it's 4 people on the panel, 2 gentlemen, two women. Angela Rye, young lady Tiffany, Bakari, and the old mayor Andrew Gillum,
who's your age.
So.
Former mayor.
Former mayor.
If we were a little more,
he ran for governor.
Yeah.
Okay. But he, so who I think is dope too, by the way. So a lot of times in these political spaces, a lot of times in the spaces that are quote unquote intellectual, we often look at demographics and we look and pick and choose when we want to play victim and we want to play aggressive. So when the rich white people are doing certain things to us, we cry wolf. I mean, we don't cry wolf, we cry foul. And then we'll take the same exact thing and now shun other people that are less than we are or that we deem less than we are. So when we're in a political space and we see all these rich white people making all these moves and doing all these shit and saying, fuck the masses, I don't care what they think. And then the young lady got on the platform and basically called Flip dumb and said, I don't give a fuck what he thinks. I don't want to hear from him because he's not, in my opinion, credible, or his opinion is not valid. It's the same thing that the white people that oppress us say their opinion is not valid. I don't want to give a fuck about the thoughts of sheep when I'm a lion. So I think that that's a hypocrisy in that. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Also, that's what happened with Flip and Marc is contextual. And if you don't watch the pod, which none of them admittedly do, you don't even understand the argument that was taking place.
And this is where my problem comes in the so-called intellectual community and thought process. Not watching or citing your sources is a huge red flag. You can't just spitball some shit and then claim you're an intellectual, or go off a 30-second clip and claim you're an intellectual. Like, if you don't watch the podcast and admit that you don't watch the podcast and admit that you only see it in clip, and I didn't watch their podcast, so I can't speak on that. But if that is indeed the case,
that'd be ironic.
I know, right? Which why I won't have a ton to say in here, but I do have a problem with someone not watching the podcast and having a deep opinion about the podcast.
You don't even
cite your sources.
You don't know what the argument is about, where the argument came from. You don't know anything.
Well, that's part of where my acceptance of her non-invitation becomes relevant, right? Like Angela Rye, I can assure you, like, I've got over 25 years in this business. I can assure you, if you and I are in the same place, it's a mistake on my part. Like, I'm all for people saying who's invited and uninvited places, so I ain't mad at it. But we would never be in the same space.
I disagree with that. And I took offense to that. Because it was almost saying that, yo, if you aren't this, if you don't have these accolades, I don't even want to communicate with you, right? And again, to my same point, politically or economically, some people can now say, if you don't have X, Y, Z amount of dollars, I don't want to talk to you, and your opinion is fucking nothing to me.
Right.
Well, and because of that, I wouldn't be so quick to cast aspersions on people that I don't know. Like, is what I'm saying. Like, I've never met these people. I've been in the business a long time. If we've never met, I'm not taking your content and then just assuming that I know about you or your character. It's in bad taste, which is why you'll never see a clip titled up here, Angela Rye, anything.
No,
I'm not watching the content. What you're talking about is not my vibe, and that's where the facts stop for me.
See, Flip is my friend, though. You know what I'm saying? And so they were shooting at Flip a lot. It was unfair. And then we get into these spaces where, no, Flip may not have 3 degrees. I've been to Flip house. Flip got an elevator in his house. I've been around Flip. Flip generates more income than a lot of these so-called academics do. You understand what I'm saying? So when you
Flip
go on,
kid is well spoken.
So Flip's children are mannerly, they're polite as fuck, and they good kids that you would think grew up in fucking Livingston, New Jersey, somewhere, Short Hills.
So I don't have time for y'all looking at content and deciding which departments people are bright in and people are not. Who the fuck are you people?
See,
hold up, Mark. It ain't time for you to fucking cop a plea for your friends. That's a dead serious. Like, who the fuck are you? See, I'm cool with content lands being different too. Some of y'all only get on camera with the intellectual perfection areas that you bright in. I don't pride myself in doing it that way. Like, I do things in real time. I allow people to see my shortcomings. I allow people to see where I made an error in judgment. I allow people to see I'm a fan of redemption. I allow people to see growth. I'm not just trying to only pop up when shit is good. I think that there's a certain courage in that. I think that takes a certain level of tact and boldness. So again, for you people to look at Flip, y'all don't come on. I don't know if everybody's so bright in they fucking relationships.
No,
I don't know if everybody's having a blast with their parental situation. I don't know what your situation with your fucking kids or your siblings is like. I don't know what you like in social settings. All I know is what I see from the content. You quote unquote intellectuals seem to be pulling a lot from places that, again, like it said, you admittedly know very little about. It just comes off a way.
Yeah.
It comes off away.
It's like if you put,
especially when you pretending especially when you pretending to do all of this super black kumbaya shit. I got a problem with that too. I got a problem with the people that masquerade as kumbaya, super black, all for the people, and I'll be the first one to tell you how we're different. I come on here every week and say we're less different than we are like. We just got different ideologies. But I'm not going to keep listening to people who in 25 years, I've never said the name Angela Rye. I don't give a fuck about nothing y'all talking about over there. I'm saying that respectfully. I don't come on here and say a word about any of that shit. I expect reciprocity. You could have titled that clip totally different.
That's true.
Don't claim to be super pro-black and then take the #1 black urban podcast and put that type of stink on it because you think you got a friend over here. That don't give you a license.
I don't think it's that. I don't think if Marc was here or not. I think
if Marc was here, they would never have those conversations.
No,
they having those conversations because their friend is up here.
No, they having those conversations because Marc is deemed an academic and an intellectual, which you
well,
are.
He is, not deemed,
No,
is.
No, I said what you are. So now it's, yo, why is he even there? Like Angela Yee said, yo, Marc, just come home.
Angela Rye.
Pardon me. Angela Rye said, Marc, just come home.
That's the other beef.
But then you go on to say how diverse Marc is. So I think that that's an insult because you don't put Marc in a box. Marc is home. Marc is a black man sitting in a room with black men that grew up in similar circumstances, albeit we wasn't all in the cult. You can't say
we all had our own walks of life.
Yeah, dog. Like I just disagree with that shit. I look at it.
Thank God there was a black-owned independent media company there to pick up our good brother when he was misunderstood by other outlets.
Talk about it.
Why is that part not being said by pro-black native land people? I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
Marc was a free agent. Y'all had a chance to bring him home.
And didn't.
You didn't.
That's a good point.
So don't sit up on your fucking platforms all pretentious as one of the Charlemites. That's how I know you. I know you as one of the Charlemites and get to saying what Marc should and shouldn't be doing. Please. If you didn't discuss this podcast before, if by your own admittance you know very little about it, shit, the woman Tiffany said at least 5 times that she don't give a fuck about these other opinions. All I'm asking is that you act like it.
All right. So you guys just saw that. You guys saw the back and forth. And I, for one, agree with Joe Budden and the podcast. I know, shocker, right? There is a big divide between like intellectual podcasting and regular, just fun commentary and stuff like that. And I see it all the time on social media. And that's part of what I was talking about in my video about the Real Housewives of Potomac, Wendy. Her and her husband being arrested for scamming. But, this is the same woman who walks around with these airs of I have 4 degrees and I'm up here and everybody else is down there. But yet and still she finds herself in the same low vibrational space as a lot of these housewives who don't have all these degrees, faking it till they make it. And, one of the things I noticed on that video, you can find the video on Spotify, but I was getting attacked a lot. Like, you're just jealous, you're dumb, you don't have degrees and all this and that. And my thing is this: degrees aren't what make you, okay? You can be smart, be a hustler, grind. Like Joe Budden's peoples was saying in the podcast, like Ish was saying, QueenzFlip, he may not be the most articulate. He may be from the hood, but his kids are well-spoken, well-mannered. He has a beautiful home, and I feel like when you get it out the mud, no matter how you get it out the mud, it should be celebrated. Regardless if you have 3 degrees, 1 degree, you walked your path in life, and I applaud that. I applaud people who have masters and doctorates and who are out here doing things with their education. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But there's also nothing wrong with a lot of us who hustle and grind to get to where we're at, and we do it with integrity. You know what I'm saying? I may not hold a bachelor's, I may not hold a PhD, but I know the emails that I get from people who thank me for my words, who thank me for my commentary. You know, the people I've met just even on the street, the young men who have come up to me and who have thanked me for talking about the trades and encouraging people to get into the trades. Long before this was a conversation on social media, I've been talking about this for like the past 5-6 years. You know, it feels good when I have young guys coming up to me and saying, you know what, because of you, I didn't go and get myself into a bunch of student loan debt. I went to plumbing school. I went and got my CDLs. You know, I ended up going into the trades and now I'm making just as much money as if I would have chased the corporate ladder. You know, some of those meetups with people, some of those emails really make my day, and it lets me know that yes, I may not have a big corporation behind me like a CNN or like a iHeartRadio or like a, you know, MSNBC, that even though I may not have all the degrees, I may not be the most intellectual, I know that my little baby platform has helped to change a lot of lives and has helped a lot of people along the way. And that means more to me than anything. We all have different walks. We all have different paths in life. And I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. We all have different walks to walk. I don't watch the podcast enough to say exactly how his personality is outside of that heated exchange, but they did have a lot to say about him simply based off of that clip. So I do understand why Ish was going back and kind of defending him, because again, you do have a lot of regular people who have gotten it out the mud, who are eating just as well as some of the people who have several degrees, who are not in debt and things like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with Angela Rye being intellectual or Bakari Sellers or anybody on that podcast, but there's also nothing wrong with a bunch of guys from the hood who has something to say. Some of the smartest people are from the hood. I just hate this whole bourgeoisie divide because, again, like I always say on my own platform, we have way more in common than we do not in common. And that goes for educated, uneducated, black, white, gay, straight, you know, things like that. We have a lot of things in common, but we allow certain things to divide us, you know? Your path is your path. Your walk is your walk. You know what I'm saying? And however you get it out the mud is how you get it out the mud. But I get Joe for feeling away, because he is the #1 black urban podcast. And he grinded hard to get that. Matter of fact, he crawled. So a lot of these other podcasts, you know, a lot of these other rappers, they are now taking the Joe Budden blueprint, okay? And now they're creating podcasts. You have the It Is What It Is with Mason Cameron. They wouldn't be where they're at if it wasn't for Joe Budden. Now you have, I think, David East and Fabulous. They're starting their own podcast. Fat Joe won't shut the fuck up, okay? They all watched the Joe Budden blueprint, and now they're implementing it. You know, so again, I don't watch Joe Budden's podcasts like that unless they go viral. I don't watch them every day, but I do have male friends of mine who are huge fans of the Joe Budden podcast who do watch them every day. So there is a segment of the population who loves his work, who loves what he does, and I'll never take that away from Joe. This other podcast, you know, maybe there might have been some salt there because they're not bringing in the numbers like a Joe Budden, you know, but I think there's nuances to every situation. I didn't look at that back and forth with Marc Lamont Hill and QueenzFlip and feel like Marc needs to get the hell off that podcast. I looked at it like two men going back and forth, and I like the fact that Marc Lamont Hill is just open about who he is. He's intellectual, he's smart, but he will still let you know that, motherfucker, I'm from Philly. And we can go outside. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. We're all multifaceted people. But if you rub me the wrong way, bitch, I will cuss you out on my live stream. No apologies. You know what I'm saying? You will see that hood TT, and it is what the fuck it is. You know what I'm saying? People sometimes get mad because in my commentary I curse. It is what it is. If you don't like it, exit stage left. Go watch somebody that vibes with your spirit who just, you know, hey, everyone, and they don't curse, and they're just, you know, very clean cut, you know, forward, straight and dry. And there's nothing wrong with people who do commentary like that. I'm not her. You know what I'm saying? What you see is what you get. So I see both sides. I definitely see both sides of the argument. But I feel Joe Budden for defending his podcast. You know, Marc Lamont Hill, one thing I do like about him is the fact that he is able to walk both sides. One thing that really made me respect him that a lot of people don't give him props about. I remember he was getting attacked about the whole Bill Cosby thing. And a lot of black men turned on him and said he was wrong for being in that Bill Cosby documentary a few years ago, and how he was a coon for helping to take down another black man. Because he was in it, that made me want to watch the documentary more. I believe it was on HBO, if I'm not mistaken. I went and I watched it, and he really talked about how condescending Bill Cosby was. And it was one thing that Marc said in that documentary that always stood with me. Bill Cosby told Marc Lamont Hill, "You address me as Dr. Bill Cosby." What got me with that is that Mr. Bill Cosby, who has received 70 honorary degrees, okay, honorary, is sitting here telling somebody like Marc Lamont Hill, who actually went to school, did the work, and has a PhD doctorate from the University of Pennsylvania. He demanded that Marc Lamont Hill call him doctor, but he refused to show Marc Lamont Hill the same respect. Somebody who's actually a doctor, who actually has a PhD, was not given the same respect by somebody with an honorary degree. And now do y'all understand why I say I can't stand honorary degrees? Because it gives some people a level of arrogance that they have no business having. I'm never going to call somebody who did not put in the work a doctor. And so that made me respect Marc so much more when he called that out, because a lot of people would have been scared to call Bill Cosby out on his shit. Like, that doesn't make you better than me. I actually went to school and I put in the work. You don't want to call me Dr. Marc Lamont Hill, but yet instead I'm supposed to call you Dr. Bill Cosby? Objection. I think the fuck not. I'm going to call you Bill Cosby in the same way you're sitting here calling me Marc Lamont Hill. So again, this whole bourgeoisie, I'm up here, I have a bunch of degrees, I'm an intellectual. These conversations, have been around since the beginning of time. But I feel like at the end of the day, support who you want to support. If you like a more intellectual podcast, there's nothing wrong with that. If you like a more urban podcast, there's nothing wrong with that. If you like your female commentators to be more bougie and super feminine, absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you like your female commentators to just be more, an around the way girl, there's also nothing wrong with that. We like what we like, but there's no reason to knock each other. At the end of the day, I think I would love to see a lot of these black podcasts, these black platforms supporting each other rather than dragging each other and going back and forth and bringing each other down. Because that's what I see a lot of times in these spaces, is black commentators getting into it, bringing each other down, bringing receipts and spilling tea and all that stuff, as opposed to supporting each other. But tea sippers, I leave the conversation up to you guys. Let's go ahead and get the conversation popping. How do y'all feel about this in general? How did you guys feel about Marc Lamont Hill and QueenzFlip getting into it? How do you guys feel about the Native Land podcast response? And last but not least, how do y'all feel about what Joe Budden had to say about the situation as well? So I look forward to reading y'all's comments down below. Please hit this video with a like. Make sure you guys share this video, and I'll talk to y'all later. Deuces.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.